Hey, hello, what's up, guys? So crazy. Second episode of Survivor, and it's like literally insane that we're watching new episodes and like we're not just binge watching whole seasons and then waiting a whole week to watch the next one. It's terrible. So, my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and let's get started. So, pretty much the first thing that we saw this episode was Jeff Varner trying to play both sides of the alliances, both old school and new school. What's up with that?
Yeah, it was interesting. Jeff said how he wanted to like wake up the old school players to see how fast this game is moving so he voted with the new school, the first tribal, to vote out Vetus so he could wake up the new schoolers to get them rolling in the fast-paced game.
Yeah, because a lot of them haven't really been playing the social games that they probably need to if they want to get further. They've been playing the physical game, which is like a good way to get through the first couple days, but after that, you need to have some relationships because you're not going to be able to win individual immunity every time.
Yeah, like I think it sort of did wake up Terry Dietz. He was on point this episode.
Oh, yeah, Terry. Well, we saw how Jeff Varner eventually flipped back, but we're going to talk about that later. So, one thing that was happening on the other tribe was Survivor MacGyver. Oh, Joe. What do you think about that, Rachel?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm playing the Phil and Will prop bet game, and I bet that Steven would have like a hashtag or whatever to be. And then he got the episode named after his Survivor MacGyver quote. So I just got like, I bet it 3 points on that. So that was very exciting. Steven, I love Steven. So, but yeah, Joe, he's being too fisherman island, like too good at the island
He's
life.
being Ozzy, and that did not turn out well for Ozzy, so
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be good. He's good now, like he's providing for the tribe, but like Steven said, right when the merge comes or even before, you take him out because then he's too much of a threat.
yep. Just because I think that their tribe probably isn't going to be going to tribal council anytime soon with the way they've been performing. So it's very likely that Joe will make the merge, and being Survivor MacGyver isn't exactly good for him for that. So
Yeah, everyone seems to love Joe, so I guess we'll see, how the three tribe merge split will affect things.
yeah, we will. So back to Takeo. Abby, Abby, Abby.
Yeah, good for Abby. Didn't get herself voted off this week and,
So we both
switched it
lose
up.
our game.
Oh,
No
yeah, I
point.
know. We should have seen it coming, hindsight bias 2020. Like, it would be
Yeah,
too obvious if Abby were to go this week.
yeah. And Rachel and I were talking about how they try to trick us with thinking who's going to be voted out next, and then as soon as the episode starts, you realize just how wrong you are. Because I don't think last episode either of us would have guessed that Shireen would be the one voted off.
Yeah. Props to the editors, good for them, it makes the episode interesting. Like, I was very nervous at the end when like Spencer cried in his confessional. That was so sad, and like both of their faces are just like heartbreaking. Like they want it so much, and to know you're either one of the two going home, like for sure, like it's sad.
Your second chance is over just that quickly. But back to
Yeah.
Abby. She keeps saying about she wants to be new Abby, and I know we discussed this a little bit last week, but I'm still not sure exactly how well that's working out for her.
Yeah,
Cause
peih-gee has the best like fake smile. Like when they were talking about the fire like thing, and then Abby just butt in like, "How are you, peih-gee?" And then like she's like, "Oh, we're trying to be friends." And peih-gee's smile was just like
I
so
don't think
fake.
that's a very good fake smile. I could totally tell she was faking
Yeah, it was so funny. I don't know.
it. Gigi and Abby's fight, that was dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, we feel bad for Abby. Like all of them were sort of laughing at her, and then she was out on the beach all alone. It must be hurtful. And then Terry swoops in.
I feel like that was kind of the nail in Shireen's coffin, not standing up for Abby, because Abby sort of, I
Hmm.
think, directed the vote against Shireen instead of against Spencer. So
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel. Like what Abby said, Terry saw the crack, and that definitely sort of sealed Shireen and Spencer's fate. They let their 5 people alliance go down. They needed Abby as a vote, so they shouldn't have really been like, even if they do think she's annoying, you gotta be like Terry. Like, she's a person and she was crying out there all alone. Like, you have to go out there if you want her vote.
it's like what Cass said after Savage shared his story about his wife. They are real people, and even though they're playing a game, they still have to be real people. Otherwise, their game isn't going to be a good one. And I feel like that's kind of what made Brains versus Beauty versus Brawn a very difficult season to watch, just because all of the Brains tribe were trying to play it like a chess game, not as a people game.
Yeah, and with Savage's story, that was really interesting that the producers decided to have like that 5 minute thing about Savage's wife and then Jeremy about his wife. It's really like not really in place, it seems, with like the whole kind of strategy or theme. So it'd be interesting to see if it's foreshadowing something.
I think it could definitely be foreshadowing Jeremy quitting, just because that's what Johnny Fairplay did in Micronesia. He quit so he could go back home to be with his pregnant girlfriend. So,
But Johnny Fairplay, he's crazy. But
well,
you
I
know,
think
wasn't he
he
voted
has to
out
be
first?
crazy. So,
Yeah, I don't know. It might come up later if people found out about Jeremy's wife. And like he said, no one will want to take him to the end if they find out his wife is pregnant, because then he would get like the sympathy vote.
from the jury, yep.
Yeah.
It
But
was
yeah, it
a
was
very touching story, though. That
yes, very, very
happened.
cute. All of like the Survivor on CBS YouTube, they posted like all those like confessionals from the Bion tribe saying how like, oh, Savage's story was so cute. Like he's the kind of man I would want to marry. Like very interesting. I don't
So, on to the best part of the episode, the immunity challenge. So, as soon as Takeo walked in, they were so surprised about Vetus being voted off, and I think that accurately reflects our surprise here at home about Vetus being voted off.
Yeah, I love seeing like when someone gets voted off, the other tribes like grandiose reactions. It's so cool. Like they're all like, "Oh my god," and like Sierra was like, "Oh my god." So I don't know. That might have helped Sierra's chances of like getting further in the game because she doesn't have like that connection with Vetus on the other tribe. So it's like they were on the same season, so that might help. Do you think Shireen getting voted off will help Joe's chances?
I'm not sure, because as I recall, Shireen and Joe weren't really that together,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's really made a big deal about the fact that Cass and Spencer and Tasha all played together. And I think it was
Yeah, I
just
think
kind of an excuse for Vetus to be voted off, the fact that he knew people in the other tribe. So,
yeah, I feel like that foursome, the Kai Gaian foursome will come. That might be reason to vote off someone later on.
it could also be a really great alliance, so if they do somehow all make it past the merge, which I don't
Yeah,
think is very likely, but
yeah, they probably have to get rid of 1 or 2 of the 4 before that to keep those chances of that kind of alliance down.
my favorite thing about when the tribes look into the immunity challenge is no one is ever like not surprised by who was voted off. Like you never have their reactions be like, "Oh yeah, we totally expected that." They're always like, "Oh my god, it was this person." Like
Yeah, it's almost like we can live vicariously through them. It's really
they're so
funny.
out of touch with what's happening in the other tribe because really they only see each other for the immunity challenges. And that's kind of
Yeah, well,
interesting.
that's like so weird between between how like the viewers know like both tribes and whatever, and then like they're all so secluded and they don't know like the alliances of the other tribe and that kind of tribe dynamic.
It's one of those things that I don't think you really realize until you see like such surprise at someone being voted off. Because I think it was pretty obvious from what we saw that Vetus was on the outs with their tribe. But
Yeah, and then it could just be like the editing of the episode and stuff. And then, yeah, with the immunity challenge, like I feel like the viewers would sort of know who would win the challenge, being the Bion, because we don't really know much about the people on their tribe, really. They got that one scene with Savage, but like, we don't know. Like, we didn't hear from Monica tonight. We didn't hear any confessionals like from Sierra. So they're sort of like they don't have like that backstory building up for them yet.
we need to see the emotional side of the losers in order to feel sympathetic for the fact that they lost before we can start looking at the winners. Because if they try to make us sympathetic to the winners, it's not going to happen very easily.
Yeah, and with Steven's edit from last time with him and like the juxtaposition between Savage like freaking knocking down a whole tree and then Steven can't even break a branch. I feel like the editing, it's sort of like he's the likable underdog kind of thing. So then we want to root for him after that. And maybe in the next few episodes in the future, hopefully Steven will be the one like spearheading Savage's boat out. I would like to see that happen.
Well, Steven, I think he put a huge target on his back when he seemed very unmoved by Savage's story with his wife, just because everyone else was like, oh, Savage is so great. And then Steven Fishback was just like, well, no, I'm playing the game still. And the fact that he plays the game so hard is a good thing for him, but it's also a really bad thing for him because people recognize that, and I think that it makes you dangerous.
Yeah, that's like Shireen playing the like being a total know-it-all, you know, splitting out all like the facts and everything about all of the episodes. So I think the tribe swap will be good for Steven. Getting him
Yeah.
away from Savage. They need to be
I'm
far apart.
curious to see how the tribe swap's gonna happen, just because sometimes they do like the schoolyard pick, and sometimes they do the rocks or the buffs, and that's always really interesting, I think, because when it's random as opposed to people choosing who they want on their side, it's a lot more interesting, I think, because the dynamics shift a lot more dramatically.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how they do it because producers wouldn't want, you know, like three people from, or like a majority, four people out of the six from the tribe to like know each other beforehand or something because that would be totally unfair to the two left out.
It's like in Brains versus Beauty. No, it was red collar versus blue collar versus no collar, or
Wait, you
white
mean
collar,
white?
where everyone got switched up, and then Sarah was the only one left on her tribe who was from the
No,
one
that
who.
was Brains, Brawn,
Okay, it
Beauty.
was Brains Bond. I was right the first time. Well, anyway, back to this season. The immunity challenge. That looked so painful. Like they were sliding. Oh.
Yeah, I know. That'd be really like hurt, like rubbing your legs on that wood and then rolling down. I don't know.
Yeah, there were a
Seems
lot of people who took a
uncomfortable.
couple hard falls. And it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see like what kind of injuries they got, just because I feel like that could cause some really bad scrapes. And when you're living in such wet conditions, those things can get infected really easily.
Yeah, that's true. And it's interesting how Sierra said she wasn't feeling well, so she was the one to sit out of the challenge. Like she sounded really bad when she talked, but then she was like screaming during the challenge, like at her tribe to keep going and stuff. But when like Jeff talked to her, she sounded really bad.
I didn't hear how bad she sounded, but I think if she's willing to scream at her tribe, it must not be that bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope Sierra goes far. I like her.
Well, Takeo lost the immunity challenge. It was a very narrow margin, though, I think. Like, Their puzzle was so close to being correct, and
Except it wasn't symmetrical. They had it like lined
they
up
flipped
like
the
left to
sides,
right.
I
Yeah.
think, where the one on the left should have been on the right, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like Jeff Varner said, Shireen and Spencer just sealed their own fate by losing the puzzle part of the challenge.
Which I don't think is exactly fair, just because it wasn't entirely their fault. There are other people on the tribe who could have done the puzzle.
Yeah, but it's like if they won, then they wouldn't be going home, and then they would have made the tribe swap, and then they would have been further.
Well,
Crazy how
I'm just
one
happy that
thing.
one of them made the tribe swap because I think that could make it a lot more interesting. So, we'll see.
Yeah, so then after the immunity challenge, we see that Abby is not going to forgive Shireen and Spencer. Then it seems like she sort of spilled the beans about how the new alliances are going to vote out Shireen or Spencer.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly why she said that, just because like, you can blindside someone. Being blindsided, I feel like, is a lot less painful than like knowing that you're going to be the one to go home and having to scramble, or like just having to accept your fate and like sit there for 8 hours knowing you're going to be going home that night.
Yeah, I feel like blindsided might hurt more afterwards. Like you'd be thinking about what you did wrong and stuff. But at the moment, you'd be
It's
like, oh
a
crap.
yeah.
Yeah, so then
Just gotta shoot
once
me.
once Shireen talked with Abby and learned that either she or Spencer would be voted out, they went to Woo, which good for Woo. I really thought they might be able to sway Woo, but Woo was very like, you haven't talked to me once, this whole game. You just want me now for a vote. Like, I'm not flipping on my people to join your side.
I feel like that's a really good thing for Wu, just because I don't think he really played that great of a strategic game in his season. He just stuck with what he knew, and it ended up getting him very far, even though he didn't end up winning.
Yeah, I'm proud of Wu sticking with his alliance and not flipping with Shireen and Spencer. Like, I feel like he's learning from his last season. And you see how fast Kelly Wentworth switched. She was like, yes, Jeff Varner, I'm with you. I'm not going to be talking to Shireen today. Like, it's interesting. You just have to go where the majority falls.
I feel like Kelly Wentworth has a little bit of an extra privilege, though, just because she now has that immunity idol, which gives her the security to switch, because if for some reason her head does end up on chopping block, she can keep it from happening. So it's
Yeah,
interesting.
Jeff Varner playing very hard at the game. He's gotten a lot of confessionals. He's got a lot of screen time. So it's interesting to see what kind of story this will play out to be for Jeff Varner.
Indeed. I think the saddest part about this episode was when Shireen and Spencer realized that they were going to have to flip against each other. Spencer cried. Oh my
I
god.
know, it's so sad. Like, they're like, I don't want to turn on the one person that has had my back who I wanted to work with. It was so sad. But I mean, in the game, you have to vote for the other one, or else it would have been like you could have been the one going home.
Yeah, I feel like part of it is they weren't even sad so much as they were frustrated about it, like frustrated that they had allowed themselves to be played into that position. So,
Yeah, so Shireen voted off 5-4 because they split the vote just in case of an idol. And then it was very scary when Jeff was like, it was like 4-4. Then Jeff was like, and the person, voted out is. And then he turned around the card.
I think also when Spencer was writing down his vote and he just turns to the camera and he says, I have nothing bad to say about you. Because, like, normally, even when you're allied with someone, you say something about them going off, like, well, we knew it was coming, or something like that. But then Spencer was just like, I have nothing bad to say about you, and I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. Good for Spencer. He'll make it to the tribe swaps, and then new life for him. New life for him. New life for Steven. I don't know. Do we want to speculate about next week?
I just hope that it doesn't end up being like one tribe that has all the like skinny people, all the like non-athletic people, and then like one tribe with the really athletic people, and then in the middle, no one.
Yeah, I
Or
really hope it'll be interesting to see how, the phone, how the tribes are being split up and like just to see, how it falls.
I feel like they're going to do some sort of reward challenge, and whoever loses the very first reward challenge will be the one that'll have to go to a new camp and make a new camp instead of living in one of the ones that's already existing, because obviously they only have 2 beaches right now that have been set up.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because if they keep those two beaches and then one group will just have to make their own, camp, or like they could take down all two camps and then make everyone rebuild their camp. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of like camp life.
I feel like camp life for the first, like, at least the first day is just going to be really awkward when everyone is trying to figure out how their new alliances are going and stuff like that. And I feel like for some people it might end up where they're stuck in between members of an alliance and they're the only one on the outs. And that's going to be interesting to see because obviously there are some strong alliances happening right now. And if those get broken up, it could just be broken up for the rest of the game. So
Yeah, 6 people tribes, there's not very like many places you can hide. You're either in the 4 majority or you're out.
I feel like part of the good thing about 6, though, is that you can be split 3 and 3, which I think is a lot more interesting than like having a tribe with 9 people where there's a 5-person and a 4-person, and the 5-person obviously has the majority because 5 is more than 4.
Yeah, nobody will want it to be a 3-3 tie though, no one wants to risk like drawing rocks or something.
Well,
So
everyone wants to be the
hopefully,
swing vote, so
yeah,
let
one person
who's
will
in the
have to
position of
swing.
power to swing.
Yeah, one person will have to swing over to make it 4-2.
So, do you want to guess who's going to be voted out next week?
Okay, so we both got it wrong last time, and now it's sort of a shot in the dark because they haven't posted like the tribes or anything. So it's basically on a whim. Who's like we don't know who's gonna lose the challenge. Like 2 tribes will win immunity, 1 won't. We don't know like who the 6 splits are. So this is a shot in the dark.
Just guess. Or
I
do you
went
want
first
me to go
last
first?
time. You
Okay,
can.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think it's going to be Jeremy.
Why?
I feel
Explain.
like if he ends up on a tribe with Savage again, Savage might use the fact that his wife is pregnant as an excuse to vote him off. Because I think that Savage learned that when he and Jeremy were talking on the beach together about fishback.
But
And
oh, yeah. I wasn't sure if they did know that if his wife was pregnant or not.
I'm not sure if they all know, but I think that Savage might know. But I
Mm.
feel like Savage is in a very strong position as far as alliances go, and Jeremy, like, he's not in a bad alliance, but he's not exactly like top dog in his alliance either. And the fact that he is a physical threat is something that I think people will take into account. This is, of course, assuming that his tribe loses, just because.
Yeah, we have basically a 1 in 18 shot of picking this correctly. So, I don't know. This is very hard to just pick one out of the 18 left because we don't know who will win. We don't know who's on which tribe. But
Well,
it's
last week we had a 1 in 9 shot, and we still got it horribly, horribly wrong. Well, we had
true,
a 1 in
true.
19, but we assumed who would lose correctly. So
Yeah, so in tribes of 6, it'll probably, have 3 males, 3 females. Yeah, but
oh, they could do where they choose, but they have to choose someone of the opposite gender. I like it when they do that.
yeah. So with the pick, if the tribe loses, I feel like they wouldn't really want to vote out a physical threat because they need to keep winning. And if like last season, it could be like the alpha males coming to head with each other, like Vince and Joe fighting, then one got voted out. But then their tribe was so weak. They had like Will and like he's not physical. So I feel like they might want to keep the more physical guys because they want to keep winning challenges, or else their
Well, it
tribe will
depends
suck.
on how many physical guys they have in their tribe. Because if it ends up being where all the strong guys go together, then it won't really matter who's a physical threat because they all are.
Yeah, that's the like exception. Like if like it was like three really strong guys, then you could lose one, but I mean, if it was like two strong guys and like Steven, you'd sort of want Steven if it was like with like Monica and like peih-gee, the less sort of physical girls. So I don't know, it's really difficult to
I think part of it also
prospect.
is you need to keep in mind that there's a lot of puzzles, and while you do want to vote out some of the weak people, you do need to keep people who are good at puzzles, just because those end up showing up a lot.
Yeah, it's okay, my
1 in 18 shot. Got this.
um I'll go Kimmy Kappenberg because I don't know, if her tribe loses, she's not like that physical of a threat. She hasn't really gotten that many confessionals, so we don't know much about her. So I don't know, she would be like an easy boot off to get your tribe stronger.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see you next week.
So excited, crazy.
Anyways, we'll be talking to you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.